Everybody can hear me? Okay. So once the presentation comes on, I'll begin talking. I actually, okay, it's on. The topic I'm going to talk about today is uncertainty. And I know we talked about it, listened to something yesterday. And the funny thing is I was supposed to speak yesterday, but my plans changed, they were uncertain. I changed it back. And now I'm talking today. So Mr. Kesar insisted, no, Gunish, you should still talk. I said, okay, I will do. I'm kind of a unique or a different speaker because I am from OGTC. So OGTC is like home for me. I know a lot of people here, people I know for many years. I probably would have a different perspective and a different association with some of the people sitting in the audience. But to introduce everybody, I'm Gunish Jain, and I run a software company, and I'm part of a government business. So I've had a unique perspective of looking at two different industries. Not only that, looking at different companies. Go to the next one. Okay. OGTC conference, and I'm going to quote this. This actually was a quote from one of the speakers or on the pre-conference dinner. And he said, OGTC conference is a great platform for serious and meaningful interaction between people from the industry. And we saw yesterday the kind of interaction. We heard about KRAs, KPIs, we looked at lean, we looked at concepts, how our industry can benefit. And it really got me thinking about my presentation. My talk is not. It's not about serious interaction. I'm not talking much about technology. I'm not talking about the industry per se. What I'm going to talk about is how uncertainty affects our life, affects our working, and how that affects how we progress in life. Okay? These are my ideas. I have not really scientifically thought through them. I don't have any empirical evidence. And I don't know if you might agree or disagree with what I'm going to say today. However, the idea is to provoke you, to make you think about things which you probably might not do in your ordinary day-to-day work. So, why uncertainty? Why did I ask Mr. Kesar that I want to talk about uncertainty? In fact, the topic, probably in this conference, I've said, Kesarji, I want to talk about it. As a student of, I think, of humans, as somebody who, I look at people and I look at how they think, they behave. I have felt that uncertainty is what drives most of, not just human behavior, I would say almost all of living behavior. We hate uncertainty, we run away from uncertainty, and most of what we are trying to do is to try and create some certainty in our life. So, think about it. I mean, we try to send our child to the best school. Why? We want to create some certainty that hopefully, if he goes to a good school, he'll do well in life. We want to create some certainty for ourselves. We go and buy a can of Coke because we know Coke represents certain certainty. When I go to a hotel, I'm looking for a hotel in a place where I've never been there, what do? I actually try and look at brands and chains that I'm familiar with. I'll go and select a Hilton. Because I know a Hilton, regardless of whether it's in Cambodia or whether it's in New York, it'll have a certain standard. There's a certain certainty in what I'm going to get out of. So, of course, I might choose not to follow it, but I'm just telling you how much it affects our thought process. We all know the stock market over 30 years gives you a 16% rate of return. Everybody knows that. Why do we put money in FDs? Why do we put money in safer instruments? We hate uncertainty. And we crave for certainty. And you look at brands, you look at organizations, their value is finally determined by the kind of certainty they deliver. So, I want to ask you, and this is a first question to the audience, what is the biggest brand which delivers certainty for, and because certainty is a primal craving that we have. Or, what is the brand which helps us address our uncertainty fears the most? Any answer? This brand is bigger than Apple, by the way. Anybody wants to gather a guess? Hazard a guess? Yeah? Okay. Microsoft is not bigger than Apple, by the way. Any other? Walmart? Walmart is close, but I'm talking about a brand which is even bigger than that. Huh? Van Heusen, actually not. Apple is the closest which comes to this brand. Okay. It doesn't come close. I'm not talking about a brand which is bigger than Apple, and there's only one brand which is bigger than Apple.
Are you trying to say the brand called God?
You got it. That's it. That's a good answer. You have seen it. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. That's God. And I don't want to get into a theological, we are in a business conference, right? But I want to talk about why God is so important. Why is it such the most enduring, I didn't say religion, by the way, I just said God, okay? Why is it such an enduring brand? Why is it? It's thousands of years. People pray to Him every morning. We never see Him. Most of us haven't felt Him, frankly. I don't even know if He exists. Lal is a non-believer, he told me. But it's extremely important because why man invented the concept of God, and people might not like it when I say invented it, was to fill a very important need of getting certainty. Man didn't understand why there are floods. Man is worried what's going to happen to him when he dies. It's very disconcerting. Things happen to us which for no rhyme or reason. So what man did was, this delta, which randomly is happening, we said that's God. And by the way, if we are connected to Him, He's going to make sure we are okay. And that is why from where God derives His power. He delivers a sense of certainty, which gives us a peace of mind. And I'm not a religious preacher. It's not a religious thing. But I want to talk about how primal and how important and how fundamental this craving for certainty and this fear of uncertainty is in all human beings. In fact, every living organism, and I can give you hundreds of examples of every living organism, you can actually take this and you see how it affects their behavior, how they behave in a certain way. So, when you're talking about, my topic got changed to risk management because uncertainty was the previous topic, so I had to mention this word risk management, but I talk about certainty and uncertainty. How does this relate to our business? Okay. What are we trying to do in business? We're trying to reduce uncertainty for us. We are very scared, worried about it. Right? So it's extremely important to look at uncertainty, look at risks. So what do you think should be the primary objective of every business? That's my second question to the audience. Tony answered the first one. I think he's cheated, but I don't think I've shown him the presentation. He's just good. He's just very good. But so what do you think? What do you think is the primary fundamental objective of every business? What should it be? Anybody wants to hazard a guess? My fundamental objective is for you people not to sleep. So that's my first objective. So I want to make sure I'm interacting with you, and I'm have your attention. So anybody wants to hazard a guess? What? Profits is one. I'm talking about risk management again. I'm talking more in the context of risk. So in terms of any guesses? To survive. And how do you survive? Managing. There is my answer. Fundamental duty of every business is to reduce risks to itself. That's what we want to do, right? Wrong. that's not, if that is your fundamental objective, that's everybody's fundamental objective. That's everybody's objective. That's not your fundamental objective. As a human being, that should, if you want to survive and make money in business, that's not your fundamental objective. So what should it be now that what should it be? And that's where the crux of my presentation is, and that's what I want to talk about today. What should it be? Any guesses? Yes, sir. To be the best. Sorry, no. I don't want to be the best.
Manage this.
Kapoor Saab says, sir.
Fundamental purpose is to run a business successfully. The bottom line has to be that you're running successfully or making money,
Correct.
but with pleasure.
Very good answer. I think I really loved his answer. But that's a consequence of what we're going to do. That's a result of what we do and what I'm going to talk about.
It's a pain getting.
Absolutely. If it's a pain, forget it. I loved it. I'm going to put that in my next presentation. So the fundamental duty of every business is to reduce risks to others. Reduce risk to others. And I'm going to tell you why. Why is God powerful? And we tell He's the most powerful human being. Not because we are reducing risk to ourselves. He is reducing risk to us. Why is a brand powerful? Because that is delivering certainty. So how do you make money? How do you make money by being powerful, by being able to deliver what people want and crave. And I told you people crave certainty. So, as a business, if you want to survive and thrive, not a business, as an individual, you want to make more money, deliver certainty to others. And the primary objective of my presentation is to kind of maybe make you think about when you deliver certainty and when you deliver uncertainty on a day-to-day basis and your day-to-day workings. That's what I'm going to focus on that. Just keep telling me about the time. I know I tend to talk a lot, but I want people to get bored. So I actually wanted a couple of people to be present in the audience, to specific people, but I only have one of them sitting here. Alright, I'm going to give an example and show you what I mean. So I have Tony sitting here and I'm thinking what he's thinking right now. So being Tony that he is, he's thinking this. Well, if he wasn't, he's now started thinking that. And I had to add that colorful language because that's Tony. That's why I love him. Alright. So that's an uncertainty he's facing. And we all are facing, not just he. As garment exporters, manufacturers, that's what we face today. Right? I wished Kamal was there, but he's had better things to do. So actually that's what I was thinking he would be thinking. Alright? Semantics, you've been thinking too much. I knew there'll be one person like you who's going to say, no, the market is closed. Assuming the market is open, okay? Humor me for a bit. I'm doing a presentation. Alright? So, and me, I'm sitting here. Obviously, I need to talk about myself. What am I thinking? That's what I'm thinking right now. That's what I'm thinking right now. Now you'd ask me what are these three? How are these three connected? What are you talking about, Gunish? Right? They're all answered exactly. We're all thinking about ourselves, talking about how. And there are two ways I could address this. Okay, there are two ways this could be addressed. One, Tony actually could go to his buyers and say, I can do this for you. I can do this, and maybe I can reduce prices, and you're a great customer. Maybe it might do the trick for him. But Tony already knows the buyer is going to say one thing, price. Tony, you are wonderful. Vineet, you are wonderful. Mr. Kapoor, you are wonderful. We love you. You deliver a great product. You want price. So why the hell even go there? Because we know what the answer is going to be. That's what we think, right? Kamal, if he was there, but he's not shown up because I think he's still working on the dollar. He's thinking, if I walk out or XYZ walks out of the presentation, what would Gunish feel? Maybe it might not. So that stops him. And the other question is, when will he finish? Because then I can just sneak out for a minute and look at things. And what I could do was, as soon as the presentation finishes, I don't wait for Lal and Rajesh. I just sneak out, grab the pakoras, come here and just sit and notice. But I fear people might not like it. People might think that I'm being very disrespectful. The other way to look at it is, what if Tony's buyer came to me and said, Tony, I want to do business with you. Okay? Tell me what I can do for you. And you wish your buyer said that to you. What things I can do for you, which will help you achieve my objectives. I could go to Kamal and say, Kamal, I don't mind if you walk out of a presentation, I understand. Or Mr. Kesar could come to me and say, Gunish, don't worry about the pakoras, I have reserved one plate for you. And I'm all peace. One plate is reserved for me, I have no tension. What have the three things done? They've reduced uncertainty. Somebody else has reduced my uncertainty and thereby their power over me increased. Next time when I want pakoras, I'm going to go to Kesar Saab, Kesar ji, can you help me reserve the plate? I will go to him. And it doesn't mean, it actually means he has built power over me. Similarly with the buyer. If a buyer comes to me and tells me, I want to do this with you, this is what can I do? In fact, over the longer run, he or she is going to have more power over me, and that's how some companies have succeeded. They've built that power by creating certainty for people they work with. And that's what I want to talk a little bit, and that's what the whole crux of the presentation. If nothing else you take from this presentation, and I'm talking a bit, take one thing, create certainty for people you work around with. It will deliver power, money for you. For your customers if you do it, for your vendors if you do it, for your employees if you do it, for your boss if you do it. Right? So, keeping it with my theory, I'm winding up, okay? So, be rest assured. How many minutes do I have? Huh? I was starting, so I see a few people, dozing off, so I need to wind up quickly and do that. So, keeping with my theological theme, I'm going to talk about my 10 commandments. And who had the 10 commandments first? Who was it? Anybody knows? So after Moses, it's me. Okay. Okay. So, it's my 10 commandments. What should we do in business which will reduce, and I'm talking about a business environment. So I'm going to do it quick and easy, fast. You might agree it, you might not disagree, you might disagree with it. The idea is to provoke, as I said, provoke thought. Alright? And not that I follow all these commandments. I am one of the biggest, I break these commandments quite often, and that's what commandments are meant for, to break. Right? If everybody followed those 10 commandments, people would have forgotten it, right? So, what's the first commandment? Number 1, define your objective upfront and keep checking progress against it. Very simple things. What is your objective? What is it you're trying to do? Because what happens is, if I have an objective, I get people working on an objective, and somewhere in the middle, I change my objectives. What does it do? It creates uncertainty for others, thereby reducing your power and value. Creating certainty, good for others, good. Creating uncertainty, bad. Okay? Because, I said, if you can create ultimate certainty, who are you? What will you become? God. Who is more powerful than God? Nobody, right? Define your objectives, because you inadvertently create uncertainty for others, because you keep changing your objectives. Not that I'm saying, if you need to change your objectives, you don't need to be stubborn, but when you change it, you discuss. That's my second commandment. You discuss why you change your objectives. You tell people, this is what I thought, that is my thought process. This is why I'm changing my objectives. This is why I'm changing my plan of action. You discuss, and I say discuss very carefully. I'm choosing these words very carefully because very often we don't discuss. We talk. Okay? It's extremely important that we discuss. We don't talk. Talking is I think more of a one-way communication. Okay? Third, the power of logic. We grossly underestimate logic. It's very intuitive. I said, yeah, everybody thinks logic is very important. I hear these HR consultants telling me you need to take care of people and their emotions and all of that. Actually, you should, but more importantly, it all comes through logic. And the reason I say logic, power of logic is your thought process, and I'm not talking about business owner, I'm talking about everyone, is dependent on your frame of reference. And everybody is rational. Okay? Their frame of reference. So when you take certain actions, it might seem illogical, it might seem irrational. Actually means whenever it's irrational, illogical, it's uncertain. Uncertainty bad, creating for others. Others, certainty good. Tell people why you're doing what you're doing. Not just what you're doing, but why. And the logic behind your thought process. Take out the time to do that. Trust me, it will save you a lot of time in herding them around to be behind you. Once you explain them, it makes a big, big impact. This is, don't take casual leaves, okay? I think the worst thing the government of India ever did was to institute this casual leave CL into our system. I think what they did was they shot on the foot of employees. They thought they were doing good for them. Actually, they shot them in the foot. I'll tell you why. If you think you can, and casually you will say, I can be sick actually. You can be absolutely sick. But when you take a casual leave, what are you telling the organization you're working with? You're telling two things. One, don't depend on me. I can be off. And second, what do you think you're telling them?
I'm indispensable.
Exactly. Brilliant answer. Exactly. I'm indispensable. And you can do without me, and you create workarounds because the person is reducing his own risk. And reducing our own risk is instinctive. So you don't need to tell people to reduce their risk. They will reduce their risk in any case. It comes instinctively. It's hardwired into our DNA. So you tell people, what are you telling your boss, your people around you? Don't depend on me, I'm indispensable, please build workarounds. And so therefore when I come to you for a raise, you will say, forget it, I can do without you. I've already built systems around you. I really don't need you. It's extremely difficult to fire somebody who always shows up for work. Because you never figure out how things are without him. So you're like worried, this guy always, I don't know what's going to happen. But if the person doesn't show up, you actually know your life can go on without him. So casual leave is, don't take casual leaves. I'll give you one, shoot, I have 5 minutes, okay. One interesting incident I'll tell you, so this person, an employee of mine came to me and said, sir, chutti pe jana hai. I'm sorry, I'm going to go into Hindi because I think it will sound better in Hindi, okay. छुट्टी पे जाना है मैंने कब जाना है सर कल जाना है कितने दिन जाना है सर 3 दिन जाना है क्यों जाना है सर कजन की शादी है लखनऊ में मैंने बोला भाग के शादी कर रहा है कहते हैं सर वो तो नहीं मैंने शादी का कार्ड कब आया था सर महीना पहले मतलब 1 महीना पहले तो लोग दे देते हैं चिट्ठी आ गई है पहले तो इन्फॉर्म करते हैं आपका कजन है तो छिड़कनी चिट्ठी आई होगी जो पता नहीं क्या बोलते शादी पड़ गई हाँ दैट्स बट what has he just told me? A, I don't plan. I just show up. B, actually what I think he was thinking is like मैं पहले बोल दूंगा तो शायद छुट्टी मुझे मना कर देंगे. So अभी बोलूंगा it's a fait accompli. सर टिकट बुक हो गई है. मुझे बोल नहीं सकते कि मैं चेंज कर दे टिकट. He's an idiot who's thinking like that. He's a stupid idiot. That's the word for him. Because he does not know. He has probably destroyed 8 months of hard work he's put into the office. Destroyed value for himself. Huge value for himself. He's destroyed value. When he comes to me for a raise, that incident is in my head because he's created uncertainty for me. It remembers. And trust me, when you create uncertainty for others, people remember that. They remember much more than when you create certainty for them. So be careful when you do that.
This will apply to both the employer and the employee.
Absolutely. It goes, I don't want to get it. I can probably talk, 50 hours about this. Examples of, when we tell the buyer last minute, by the way, the shipment is delayed, I can give you umpteen examples. I can tell, and I'm going to talk a little bit. So there's something for everybody, so everybody can, take it from here. I don't want to just pressure one group. Inform when you're not going to meet an obligation. Very simple. Tell people you're not going to meet an obligation. Tell it as soon as you know it. As soon as you're aware, I'm not going to meet an obligation. Tell it. Create certainty for him so that that person can plan. When you can't come up for a meeting, tell people as soon as you figure out. And not that we do it every time, but just remember, whenever we don't do it, we destroy value for ourselves. Just remember that. Remember when you fall sick on a weekday, no matter how justified it is, just remember you've destroyed value for yourself. Just remember it. It's not fair. Life is not meant to be fair. Life is meant to be life. Nobody said it has to be fair, right? My commandment number 6. I've got 3, 4 more, okay. The myth of empowerment. I love this word empowerment. Actually, my MBA is in HR, so I love people, supposedly. And I like people. But I'm a student of, as I said, I like to study people. I like to see what ticks them, what makes them work. Employees said we want to be empowered. And I actually have people I interview and they say, sir, वहाँ empowerment नहीं है, सब कुछ होता है. सब वो पूछते हैं. What they're actually saying, we don't want empowerment, we don't want to be bothered. Okay? Empowerment is another word for don't want to be bothered. I'm not talking about just employees, I'm talking about every, and I want to talk about this as, because we are all in factories and businesses, so I want to have incidents things we talk about which we can relate to. When you empower people, you've actually, if you look at it from a prism of certainty, uncertainty, and the frame of reference is certainty, uncertainty, what have we actually done? I would love for my juniors to take over everything, make all decisions. Trust me, I get stressed. Trust me, Mr. Kapoor gets stressed. Trust me, Tony gets stressed. Vineet gets stressed. The managers, they get stressed from their subordinates. I'm not talking about just from their bosses. They get stressed because they have to take decisions because it's uncertain. So when you empower people, you actually are creating a lot of uncertainty from them, which is actually very unnerving and destroying value. So what do you do with empowerment? Empowerment is beautiful. It sounds great. Everybody wants to be empowered. What happens is we empower people without creating systems and guidelines on how they need to take decisions. People don't want to take decisions. We hate taking decisions because when I have to take a decision, it is uncertain, and uncertainty is bad, certainty is good. So what do you do? What do? You actually, when you empower people, you actually, what you should be doing, and without them realizing, you create systems where they just have to, this happens, I need to do this, tuck, tuck, tuck. They are not deciding this, they think they are deciding, but they are not really deciding. So 95, 97% decisions should be automatic. They are empowered, but they're following your game plan. And the 3, 4, 5% time they need to make a decision, you really reduce their uncertainty. So empowerment without a system is, please don't ever try it. Trust me, it will destroy your organization. It will create so much stress within your organization. People will say this, but my boss is lazy, actually he just put the problem on my head. Comes to my next one, remove discretion. Take out discretion in your organization. Take out discretion in everything that you do. Because discretion requires decision. Decision creates, the leading up to the decision creates uncertainty. Once you've decided, it's actually pretty certain. So take out discretion. Example, and you can build certain processes and like for example, my vendor supplies me goods and the bill comes to the store guy. What have you created a process? And I remember Vineet mentioning it. Within how many hours or days the bill is in his accounts department? This guy cannot decide. The store guy cannot hold the bill. He cannot decide. It has to move. Because the way people exercise their power, and actually make money on the side is Kamal, you came late. I actually had a reference to you. So he's Kamal, actually. He was one of my people I mentioned in my reference. He's the dollar guru. I call him the dollar guru. And the contango, is that the right phrase? Yeah, okay. So that's a little joke. So take out discretion. Commandment number 8. Convey bad news, but we hate conveying bad news. We want to always be seen to be, even to our employees, to our bosses, to our family, to be always telling good things. We love to tell good things. We want to be liked, okay? and we always are scared of giving bad news. Because nobody wants to be associated or faced with bad news, right? You don't know what's going to happen. So convey bad news, and I'll tell you as a business owner and as somebody who manages people, I actually used to analyze why somebody tells me bad news and I feel a little upset to the person. And I should not. And we tell people don't shoot the messenger and all of that. And I analyzed, why? I said, why? I said, what happens? And what can the poor fellow do which does not create this anger in me? What can he do? Okay, so I thought about it. And then I said, looked at what answers people used to give me, and then I realized which answers created a lot of anger in me, which answers actually made him feel good, made that person come out good in front of my eyes. And the answer is, and I say, but whenever you convey bad news, please suggest a solution of what you think the next course of action should be. The worst thing anybody can do is, sir, shipment reject ho gaya, sir. What has he done to, he's actually vomited on your table. Frankly, that's what it feels like. He's vomited on my table. I don't like people vomiting on my table. I don't like it. That's why I feel angry. Actually, I don't feel angry. The shipment got. I said, बोल दिया तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. अब मैं किसको जाकर बोलूं कि मैं भी मेरी प्रॉब्लम में निकल गई. Alternatively, if he came to me and said, sir, shipment reject होगी, sir, लेकिन मेरे हिसाब से अगर ये चीज ट्राई करे तो शायद चांस बन सकता है. बने या ना बने पता नहीं, sir, maybe. And give this solution some thought. Please don't just say it. So give it some thought. That's the only way you can break bad news properly. That's the best way of breaking a bad news. Always try to come up with some solution, some suggestion. Think through that suggestion and solution. Trust me, when your boss hears it and says, you know what, this guy is not coming to me with problems. He's actually sharing with me in the problem. Very important. And he's creating certainty for me. Or actually sharing my uncertainty. One of the ways you can reduce uncertainty with others is share their uncertainty. My commandment number 9 and the most important one. How many people are asleep? Not, well, I can see only one person asleep. Or maybe his eyes are small. I wish I did that every time. I'm guilty of not doing that. And we all know. I think money is very important. How you deal with money, how you handle money, tells a lot about your character. Tells a lot. Our society keeps saying money is not important. Yeah, trust me. From a spiritual point of view, it actually tells you a lot about character because it actually conveys, the way you handle money conveys what kind of thought process, thoroughness, care you take of people around you, people who work with you. It also keeps you disciplined. And a lot of things I'm talking about requires a lot of discipline because when you think about those things, it requires a lot of discipline to get it to that point. Pay people. If we have to pay our employees on the 7th of every month or before, pay them. Pay them. Pay them no matter what. No excuses. No excuses. You ask any employee, and I'll tell you, 1% of people are entrepreneurs, 99% people are employees. The probability that there is somebody in your employee who's actually more capable than you is much higher. There are much more capable people who are employees. The reason being they want certainty on the money. They want on the 7th of the month that they should get that money. Please make sure, no matter what, buyer ने पैसे नहीं दिए, shipment reject हो गई, आसमान टूट गया, बाढ़ आ गई, सब कुछ आ गया, ATM बंद हो गए, make sure you pay them. Trust me, if you pay them, you will own them. People will love you. It's extremely important. Ask any. I think I don't even need to a survey, but I am dead sure of that. Second, with your vendors, think about when you are working with a customer and the customer says 30 days payment, 50 days payment. Aati nahi hai. If you want to pay 60, I'm not saying pay it immediately. I'm saying when you say, pay it then. Make sure that should hurt you. If you have not met that commitment, it should hurt you. If it isn't hurting you, you're not losing sleep over it, over one missed payment, something is really wrong. All right. So I said, you don't need, the idea was to provoke. So you don't need to agree with what I'm saying, but. And finally, my last commandment. This is not, actually I only had 9. I was thinking, I said 10 sounds good. Let me put that 10. I said, this is a good one. Actually, so that was just to end up on a silly, simple note. Obey traffic rules. And I think it's not that bad concept, and I think we could do more of that. But that's it. That is the end of my presentation. Thanks, guys. I hope it was